He established the rules. He could change the rules. Why not just show up? Look, I'm real. So why create that system?
I hear what you're saying, but also at the same time, we're kind of saying, God, you didn't do it the way I think it should be done, therefore I'm not going to trust it. We got to kind of think like, who is God? If this is real, does it have to fit my understanding, or should I accept what God has established? If we have to think, no, God must mold to my understanding, I don't know if we would ever accept this as truth, no matter how much it might make sense. You know, if God is God, if he is who he says he is, how could I even grasp his why? And so it kind of like lifts that burden of trying to feel confirmed before accepting, because it's like, if I just have to confirm with God and then believe him, that's not faith, that's just confirmation. It would take no faith to say it's dark outside, I can confirm that. It would take no faith to go, oh God, you did it because of this, and this, and this, makes perfect sense, I get it now, I'll believe. That's not faith. But it takes tremendous faith to go, even though I don't understand, you said you did this for me and you say you love me, and I'm going to accept that. In Romans 3:20, it tells us the law is there to show us we're guilty. When we compare ourselves to God's standard, we fall short. But then it opens up the door of, if heaven is real, how do I get there? Because I can't earn it. I can't work my way to it. And that leaves the only option of accepting it as a free gift, which was given by God himself out of love. Faith points me towards there because I know for a fact I cannot earn my way to an eternal, perfect heaven.
So there was a saying that I used to hear when I was younger that said, God is not man for your understanding. And what they meant by that is that because God is not man, then you cannot understand the mindset of God. And that's the excuse that is used in the situation when we talk about faith these last 2,000 years. And here's the reason why faith only accounts for these last 2,000 years. Because as the atheist gentleman was expressing, if this God is real, why don't he show up? If this God is real, why don't he change the rules? And if you actually look at it, this God has changed his rules as to how he acts, except for the last 2,000 years. Because prior to the Jesus narrative, this God showed up. This God demonstrated himself. And if you account Jesus as God, then during the Jesus era, this God showed up. This God demonstrated himself. There were miracles of people being healed from demonic possessions, or healed from being blind, healed from having lame limbs, healed from issues of blood. So this God was showing up, demonstrating that he was God. There was no faith required, even though it says by your faith you are healed, but there is no faith required when the demonstration is constantly happening. Now, when you look at the Old Testament, this God demonstrated his apparent love for the Israelite children, whether he demonstrated as far as walking in the garden with Adam and Eve. He demonstrated with talking with Cain as far as his murder that occurred. He demonstrated as far as taking Enoch. He demonstrated as far as the Noah's flood and setting Noah up and his children. He demonstrated when he tore down the Tower of Babel. He demonstrated when he showed up and had conversations with Abraham. He demonstrated when he destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. He demonstrated when he talked to Balak. He demonstrated or sent other people. So all the demonstrations are also him sending other people. But he demonstrated by talking to Daniel and sending angels to Daniel. Demonstrated with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Demonstrated with Saul. Demonstrated with David. He demonstrated, and I can go on and on throughout your Old Testament where this God was demonstrating in over thousands of years, demonstrating to the people that he is supposedly real. Now, of course, you're going to say that the people still went back and forth, even with the demonstration. But did they really? They always said that if we weren't acting well in the weight of this God, then this is why we are suffering. So it must be this God who is punishing us. So they knew that this God existed through the demonstration of their punishment, but they also knew that this God existed through the demonstration of his bounty that he gave to them. But in so many cases, he showed up with Moses. He showed up with the Exodus. He showed up with providing manna, showed up with providing quail, showed up with bringing water out of a rock, showed up with Joshua and knocking down the walls, showed up. This God constantly showed up in every aspect of your Bible. But now, since this God is not showing up, and you expect people to just have faith in what was written that cannot be observed, that cannot be tested, that cannot be measured, that there is zero archaeological proof nor evidence of this God's existence in doing all those things, and then you say, if heaven is real, then the wages of our sin does not allow us to measure up to the standard of this God. So therefore, how can you go to this heaven? So you have to have faith. But that is if Christian heaven is real. What if Jewish heaven is real? What if Muslim heaven is real? What if Buddhist heaven is real? What if Indus heaven is real? What if any other religion that has ever come about, Ifa, the Greeks, the Romans, the Aztec Mayans, what if the South Pacific heaven is real? Then you don't measure up to those guys either, because you've never believed in those guys. So then you will not enter into Elysium. You will not enter into any of these heavens. You won't go into the field of reeds. You will not dwell with the ancestors. You will not exist in the heaven of these other guys if their heaven is real. And the same if that you say about their heaven, or the same no, there's no proof, or no, we don't believe, or no, those just are pagan, those are just made up, those are just demonic. Everyone in those religions would say the same thing about yours. Because if was a fifth, then we'd all be drunk. And that's the mindset that people have when they say that you must have faith. When this God has demonstrated himself consistently throughout the history of your book. But over the last 2,000 years, there is no demonstration. There is just what people feel. There is just a relationship that they feel. There is no proof of your feelings being true and factual. A Christian can say, oh, I was healed by God. But yet I can take you to medical science and they can probably figure out why. And for the things that they are not able to figure out, it still doesn't mean God did it. Maybe the Muslim guy did it because he was trying to get your attention. Maybe Allah did it. He was trying to get your attention. Maybe Ahura Mazda did it because he was trying to get your attention. Maybe Oshun did it because she was trying to get your attention. But you weren't paying attention when Oshun showed up in your life and paid that bill for you. You weren't paying attention when Oshun got you that job. You weren't paying attention when Quetzalcoatl came and saved your life, saved your family's life. You weren't paying attention. And that's why you are going to go to the Aztec hell. Because Quetzalcoatl was trying to get your attention, but you weren't listening. The evidence was there. The devil made Christianity so that you wouldn't see it. The devil made Christianity so that they would conquer the Aztecs, so that you wouldn't see it, you wouldn't believe it, that you'd be indoctrinated into a demonic religion of Christianity and not see the true religion of the Aztecs. You see, the same storyline that you use for every other religion, reverse it back, comes right to you on the same plate. So to say that you just have to have faith is just saying that you must have make-believe, that you must just accept it because that's what you've been taught. You must accept it because it was written in a book by some people, by 40 different people over thousands of years of time frame, and you have no evidence of any of the things in this book being true. A couple of cities here, a couple of people there. But for the most part, zero evidence of any of the miracles. Zero. Zero evidence of your God's involvement. Zero. So I will take the evidence of things that I can observe and evidence of things that I can prove over the evidence of things that you just believe in, that you just feel. Because as I get ready to close out, I want to make sure you understand that when it comes to you and how you feel and your feelings of a relationship, there is another wise old saying. It goes, fuck your feelings. So always remember, you have to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations.